your ribs up in the bar the whole time. Good. Up. Up. Good. Good. So you want to shove your ribs up the whole time. Super tight. Drive up. Good. Now, let's press. Push through it and hold. Good. Good. Ribs up the whole time. Fight for that. That should be a concern. So up, up, up. Good. Start. Press. Push through, up towards your face, towards your face, towards your face, towards your face, push, left arm. Excellent job. That was ugly, you got it. Ugly. So, ribs coming. Ribs are up the whole time, don't let go of that arch. Good, ribs are up, good, out, hold, start, press. Push over your face, over your face, over your face. Go back to your face. Back towards your face. Now up, 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 up. That's good. Good. Don't go rack it because you're already in the back. So, yeah. So there's two of the world's ugliest 135s. Okay, so here we are. We're doing some bench work with my mom today. So in this part, what you're seeing is an exercise we're using as a cueing exercise. So my mom is doing a standing cable row, so that way she can focus on what it feels like to pull her shoulder blades together and keep a pinched back during her bench press. So typically what we do in our training is we pick an exercise that relates to a cue that we want to improve on our main lift. And we superset that with the main lift itself. So she's doing a set of 10 on rows, and then we're going directly into our bench press setup here for her rep work. So that way she can get the feeling of a tight back, then bring it right over here and do it with the exercise. So we will use various exercises depending on what cue we want, but that's the idea of a cueing exercise, something that kind of pairs well with a cue you want to get right in your bigger lift. So now she's going to set up, and she's going to go for 2 reps here. So I'm going to help her out a little bit. So remember, heels and ribs up. Good. Okay, up, get a big breath. Breath, start, press. Now hold, reset, rebreathe, start, press, rack. Good, she did a very good job. So what we're doing right now, and you'll see in some videos we'll post in conjunction with this video, is we're doing the bands from the top, and that is going to help her just work on her strength development through that portion of the lift, and I'll explain that more here in a second. Okay, so what you just saw is my mom working through some bench pressing with the bands from the top, and that's referred to reverse banding. It's also referred to as the future method because it lets you use weights that you would hope to be using in the future without the bands. So basically what the bands do from the top is they allow you increased time under tension at a same weight. So if you do, like, say, typically you have a 3 rep max, but you put some bands on and you put the bands on correctly, there's a whole caveat to that, is you maybe can do that weight for maybe 4, 5, 6 reps. And you can do that for set after set, which allows you an increased adaptation stimulus. So that's the physical adaptation you can get from this technique. Is you can do it with, it doesn't have to be sets of 5, it can be sets of 3s, 4s, 2s, 1s. We've even done reverse banding for high reps just for like bodybuilding stimulus. But the physical stimulus you get is increased time under tension, TUT, time under tension, and that increases the significance of the adaptation stimulus. So if you're doing it for higher time under tensions, you get more muscle building stimulus. If you do it for lower time under tensions with heavier weights, like we did for my mom, it's more of a strength adaptation. And then the technique benefit you get is increased technique quality while under stress. So if you typically go under a 1 rep max and kind of your form goes to crap because you freak out, this gives you a chance to feel really heavy weights, but work on staying good quality under stress. And then mental, and the reason why we have physical, technical, and mental, by the way, these are the 3 ways you can get physically kind of better in training. Well, not only physically, but just get better in training. So I can lift heavier weights because I'm either physically stronger, technically more proficient, or I'm mentally stronger, not getting in my own way. So that's why we have these 3 here. And then for mental, it increases your mental toughness and kind of calmness while under stress. So under a weight that you normally only do for, say, a single, and all of a sudden somebody asks you to do a double or a triple, that's a lot of stress. And then you have to try to stay really technique perfect while under that stress, and that requires mental toughness and calmness. So, and then the idea of the benefits of the bands is you want to place your max effort weight inside the window of the band. And what that means is, you can see in those videos my mom was using orange bands, and they might take off 10 to 15 pounds per side maybe. So we wanted her 1 rep max to be somewhere within that 10 to 15 pound window, and she would do that for, you know, either multiple sets of 1 to get more practice at it, or she would get multiple sets of maybe 2 or 3 to get an increased stimulus for growth or strength. So that's the idea. So we'll have to follow up with another video on how to set bands up correctly, but that's a little exposure to the idea of banding from the top, which again is reverse banding or the future method. So we'll give you more videos, and hopefully you guys can learn enough to give this stuff a try on your own.